You're listening to the Renegade Blitz, the best podcast for Steelers fans by Steelers fans. Follow us on Twitter at Renegade Blitz, at RBlitzPod, and at Blitz Videos. Read articles on RenegadeBlitz.com, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app.
And welcome back to the Renegade Blitz podcast. I'm Polk with Chris Ward and Brandon Walker. Back with you to talk about Steelers versus Titans. What a game that is. But guys, because of COVID-19, a lot of games have been switched around. And a game just recently went final that has a lot of implications on the Steelers' playoff chances. The Las Vegas Raiders defeated the Cleveland Browns 16-14. And Chris, you were talking before we went live. Steve Kornacki of NBC, who's known for, the election night coverage, said the Steelers had a 21% chance in making the playoffs after that victory against the Titans yesterday. Can you elaborate more on that?
Yeah, they were 10th in the AFC according to his odds, and the Browns and the Ravens were ahead of them, were ahead of the Steelers. So the Browns losing is definitely huge. If the Steelers say they lose to the Chiefs this week and they beat the Browns and Ravens, they'll be 9-7-1. And I don't know, do you guys think that would be good enough? That tie is really hurting them right now, though.
Yeah, it is. To say that tie is hurting. I think you got to get 10 wins to make it playoffs.
So they have to win out. And I was looking at it, and since the Browns lost, that helps. But if they say they don't get into the one of those wild card spots to win the division, they would have to hope. And they played the Ravens last game of the season, but they would have to hope for the Ravens and the Bengals to lose 2 of their last 3 games, both teams, to win the division at 9-7-1, because they're both 8-6 right now, both teams.
And then Cleveland's at 7-7. But what's this hurting is that wild card.
Yeah.
Losing, everybody is in that AFC West. Denver's 7-7. You're ahead of them, but Oakland is with the tie kind of helps you with Oakland. Las Vegas, sorry, forgive me, but that tie is helping you against the Raiders, but they're not, because they still got to finish ahead of you. But that tie is rough because you lost to the Chargers and you lost to the Raiders.
Yeah. And so they have the tiebreaker over the Bills, and I think the Colts are for sure going to make the playoffs. I think they're a hot team right now.
Right.
They might even surpass the Titans maybe for the division.
I think so. I said last week. I said on the podcast that don't be surprised if the Colts beat that division. And I apologize. I didn't do my research, though. They're going to have to finish ahead of the Titans because the Titans did beat them twice already.
Oh, early. Yeah, because they started off slow, the Colts, so yeah.
They beat the Colts twice.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough game. But with Jonathan Taylor, with all signs are pointing that he's the MVP of the league right now, with Tom Brady not able to amass a single point against the Saints, and really I think his only competition has to be Aaron Rodgers. And sometimes the media likes to give MVPs to players that haven't won it and kind of shun away multiple time MVP winners. So it's going to be an interesting situation there. But guys, let's focus on the Steelers versus the Titans. And Brandon, over the course of the season, you have said that you feel like Joe Haden is on his last leg, because of the injuries, because of the corner situation with the Steelers. You kind of reached out and said maybe Steven Nelson was the right guy to keep in this situation. But Joe Haden had the game of ages. He played the game arguably of his life outside of that incredible interception against New England a few years ago. This is a great game by him. You think of that diving effort to recover that fumble, and then the play that effectively won them that game, that tackle a yard short. Oh, Tennessee fans, they know about being a yard short so much, and it stinks for them. It really does. But Brandon, you've been kind of sort of wrong about Ben Roethlisberger. It's the life of taking hot takes, man. So I want to know, what's your feeling right now?
I think he still has some game left. It hurts. He's been injured that kind of helps if you really think about it, because he's not going through the bumps and bruises of games like he would have going through a 17-game season. So he had enough time to rest and enough time to play, get right. He's still a heady veteran player. Even veteran players know how to make veteran plays at veteran times, if you get what the drift I'm talking about. But they know how to make plays no matter how old they are. They can position themselves to make that play. But you would think, man, the Titans, it seemed like they was playing they had JV receivers out there. And when Julio went out, they had JV receivers. They could.
What's up with Julio?
Hamstring.
Even last year, he was killing it. I'm just like, man, the guy looks something beyond human. It's you think of him as superhuman. It's just like, I wouldn't say mortal is what he looks like, but I know it was the injuries. But I was absolutely shocked because I think everybody and their mother had the Titans offense fully healthy, just absolutely killing it.
Yeah, they didn't have AJ Brown either. No Derek. You could tell that type of game, they missed those horses that they had. Because that's all I got right now. But
healthy Julio, healthy AJ Brown, fight through Joe Haden in that situation. A healthy Julio basically just skies over any corner the Steelers have. So that's just, sometimes it's like the game came at the right time. And we'll talk about that later with their next opponent.
Oh, yeah.
And, Foreman for them did pretty well. Steelers run defense is so bad. They gave up 200 yards rushing to the Titans, and they didn't even have Derrick Henry. But credit to Foreman, he played really well. The running backs for the Titans really was like their entire offense. And like as Paul mentioned, like Tannehill, like even before all the injuries, he's just not playing. Like fumble the snap, there's a lot of like just costly turnovers there by the Titans. And if you look at the stat sheet, I mean, they just dominated the entire game. But it's tough to win when you're -4. Like no way how you make it. The Steelers, they only scored they scored field goals off all the 4 turnovers for 12.
Yeah, but most of them turnovers, 3 of them was not his fault.
Yeah, but he fumbled the snap.
Well, he fumbled the snap. Well, people are always going to blame the center for it sometimes, but
he got pass deflected, and then 2 fumbles.
The 2 fumbles that weren't him.
They weren't on him, but still, he took after the game he said that he took responsibility for the bad or the fumble snap or whatever. Yeah. I mean, it's week 15. I mean, a veteran quarterback too. Like for that to happen, I just think
couldn't in 10 plays.
Yeah.
In 10 plays, but the one thing they couldn't cash in, they needed points. That's the problem. We're going to talk about with their next opponent. That's not going to fly at all.
The slow starts. I mean, they pick it up in the fourth quarter for whatever reason, and like you mentioned, that's just not a way to win, really. And you can't do that against the Chiefs, obviously, who are coming into this game with 7 straight wins, I think it is. And at Arrowhead Stadium also.
Yeah, that's going into the buzzsaw. And there's a lot of other things we have to talk about here. Ben Roethlisberger, man. His first rushing touchdown since the game winner against Jacksonville 3 years ago. I'm more surprised that the Steelers actually decided to run a quarterback sneak. I think you could hear all of Heinz Field cheering, "Oh my God, they ran a sneak." Not only once, but twice in a row. What a team.
Oh, you want me to go since I'm the Ben supporter now? So he played the game that he needed to win the game. He didn't have any touchdown passes, but he led the game. He led the game, managed the game, led him to the field goals. I would have liked them to score touchdowns, but we already went over that. knows how to do it, knows how to make that play at a certain time. But the thing is, that running game still needs work. 30th in the league.
Yeah, the entire
30th.
Is a mess right now. The offensive line, they can't run the ball. Receivers, other Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool had no receptions in that game, and he had a bad drop too. And I saw Mark Cabali saying that they were like rotating him in Washington. So like it's been a
he
bad
got benched.
Yeah, it's been a really bad year for Claypool.
Washington stepped up a little bit.
Yeah, he did. I
don't know his stats on it. I know he had 3 catches.
He did fumble. He did fumble there, and luckily they called a roughing the passer there on Simmons, which Titans fans weren't too happy about.
By the way, Brandon, 3 for 36 for Washington.
Okay, but don't you? But I'm speaking of Simmons for once. Don't he remind you of Hayward?
Yeah, he does actually. I think
he remind you of him. Like I looked at him, and you're like, huh.
I believe last year Ramon Foster said
it plays like Hayward.
Yeah,
I never really got to saw him play this year until yesterday. I'm like, even though he didn't have the stats that he wanted, but you could tell he's going to be the next Hayward. I don't know about the next, but whatever.
They have some real strong defensive linemen. There's some big defensive linemen there.
Yeah, that Titans team retrofitted itself from last year, if you remember it. That was really like the last vestiges of like a strong offense from the Pittsburgh Steelers last year against the Titans. That was a markedly different team out there.
Oh, they were flying. They were flying to that ball. I was like, every time you saw, you have 7 Titans there. And the thing about the Steelers defense, they did not fly to the ball. The market difference, you saw it yesterday. It's crazy.
I mean, they turned things around. Like the whole, the Titans just fell apart, really. I mean, the defense for the Titans didn't lose in that game. 4 turnovers, the offense, they just, and then they had a turnover on downs at the end of the game there. Their offensive line was, Quinsbury, their right tackle. I think PFF said he had 7 pressures allowed and 2 sacks. So, their offensive line's, having some issues. And, like you mentioned, JV receivers. So, their offense is just really struggling right now. The Steelers weren't that much better. Matt Canada's offense. And I think it really all starts up in the offensive line there. They didn't match up. They don't match up well with a lot of teams, but especially the Titans.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, they're that left guard, I forget his name.
LeGlue?
Yeah. He got abused.
Their entire interior, Kendrick Green,
entire interior line.
Trey Turner. Now I'm
talking about the guy from Tennessee, Hayward, and
we're talking about Tennessee.
It was so obvious that he could not do that. Tannehill couldn't do anything up the middle.
Yeah, that was their backup because they didn't have Saffold, I think is. So he's a pretty good left guard. So they were definitely missing some guys, but still credit to the Steelers for another gritty win for the Steelers.
Yeah, that's what you're going to get out of the Steelers these days. Grit. And we also want to talk about Penn State Pat Fryermuth. That was just a nasty hit. He got a double jeopardy in that situation. Oh my goodness!
But he hung on to the ball though.
Yeah, which was amazing. I mean, that's the one situation. I don't know if that was like straight muscle memory out of him after last week against Minnesota. He held on to that ball as if his life depended on it. And I think anyone in that situation has to say, go back and look at that play. We said it on this podcast, and most people that have a brain in media said this. Harrison Smith punched that ball out, and I think I think that confirmed it in that situation because no guy gets hit like that twice in less than 2 seconds and should hang on to that ball. No one.
That's why I say he's going to be a star in the league if he stops getting concussions.
Yeah, sit him. At this point, you got to sit him for a considerable period of time.
Sit him
yeah.
Yeah, you got to send him next game. I'm sorry. You got to preserve him.
Gentry stepped in the next play on a tight end screen and actually showed a little bit of wheel. So
yeah.
Who's this tight end coach for the Steelers right now? I'm liking him because it's one thing if tight end number 1 is doing something. It's another thing when the de facto tight end number 3, who's stepping up to 2 because Ebron's out, is doing something. Even Raider was doing something earlier this season. This is the first time that I actually say, like, wow, the Steelers tight ends are consistently doing something. And especially with a rookie quarterback or any sort of veteran coming in the next season, that's what you need.
Yeah. That is like the best. I think that is the best like group of tight ends the Steelers probably ever had. I do agree with that.
Now, when Roethlisberger scored that touchdown, the quarterback sneak, and then what do you guys think happened? Because I wrote an article earlier about this. Why do you think he went into the tunnel and sat on the steps? Do you think he was praying for Freiermuth, or
had to be?
Probably, I had to be. It was bad.
Do you think he was praying for a win, or do you think he was thinking about that was possibly his emotional thing? He was thinking about that could have been his last touchdown at Heinz Field, even though it's not his last game there.
He's gonna be thinking about. He better be praying for Freiermuth. That's what he needs to do.
He's got another 2 at Heinz Field.
You think they're gonna make the playoffs and then host the playoffs?
I think Ben got 2 more games at Heinz Field. 2 more.
They'll have to make the playoffs to do that.
What did I say?
No, I don't think they got. I said 2 more touchdowns. This team is getting a 7th seed. There's no chance unless the division is somehow won, which is going to be like the biggest miracle of all time.
Right. He's going to have 2 more games at Heinz Field.
This season?
Yeah.
Is there another home game that I've lost in the sauce?
That's a bold take there.
That's bold as hell.
They would have to win the division, obviously, to do that.
Wow. You amaze me sometimes.
Yeah. But I'm trying to find
2. And clip that, tweet that, and send that. How about that?
Do you truly believe that, or are you just saying that?
If I say stuff that I don't believe, Chris.
Oh, I don't know. You flip flop because you've been bashing the Steelers all season.
I did not flip flop.
Yeah, that takes a ton of testicular fortitude. You say that after everything you've said this season.
You don't. About Ben.
You know what? I'm in it. I'm in.
Oh, Ben. I talked about Bush. I still think he's garbage.
Hey, Bush stepped up a little bit this game.
Am I allowed to say that Ben proved me wrong? Am I allowed, man? I am a man enough to say, look.
I think he proved me wrong a little bit. I mean, I wasn't as harsh as you.
Wrong.
I wasn't as harsh. I didn't call for him to be benched. I was leaning towards, but I didn't get to that point yet. But you know what you were calling him a couple weeks ago?
Old Yeller. Not a couple weeks ago. Earlier this week, less than 4 days ago.
But
you gotta keep some things entertaining. You know, he's still Old Yeller. In the playoffs he'll get shot. He'll get put out the pasture. Okay. Probably by a team.
I don't know. I like this team better on the road in the playoffs than at home. But even though they're a better home team right now,
they're gonna. The Steelers will have 3 more road games and 2 more home games.
Let me put the numbers into here.
You have 2 more
on the road. They're on the road against Kansas City. They're on the road against Baltimore. They're at home against Cleveland.
Yes.
So basically you're saying that this team makes it to a conference championship.
No.
Or divisional. Excuse me. Divisional.
I don't know. With that run defense and that offensive line.
That run defense would be better off basically putting me, you, and Chris out there and basically say, guys, pray. But even then, that run defense still has one thing that's going to be the equalizer: T.J. Watt and Cam Hayward. And who knows what could come out of there? I mean, has there been anything said about anything of Alualu potentially coming back? I know that there was a possibility at one point.
I haven't seen anything.
I don't think that's going to happen. But, I mean, Wormley steps up occasionally, but the question with him is, well, like, do those stats have any calories behind it? You know what I mean?
He's been rushing the passer really well lately. I don't think really as a run defender, really other than Hayward. Loudermilk was in there yesterday. He's been doing he's better than Mondu, I think. Henry Mondu. I don't know why they play him sometimes.
Well, Loudermilk's just big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the run defense.
Marcus Allen made some plays yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Schobert played probably, that was his best game as a Steeler, definitely.
Yeah. Easily.
Minka Fitzpatrick, man, I wonder what PFF has to say. Those it's never good when your free safety leads the team in the tackles, but Tomlin praised him after the game. He had 14 total tackles and 12 of them were solos, and he kept the lid on the things. They were like 7-yard runs, maybe they didn't break out to be like 15-yard plus runs.
They had like 120+ yard runs. But how do you feel? Let's just switch lanes a little bit, because I'm talking about this later on this week in an article in the new Pittsburgh Quarter preview. How do you think Tomlin has done this year? Do you think this is his best coaching job?
I think 2019 was that's the first thing when he led that Hodges and that they're great. They had a better defense that year to an 8-8 season. But I think he's done a good job because on this team, if he gets them to the 8-1 or even 9-7-1, I think he definitely did a great job with just given the state of the offensive line and the run defense.
Yeah, I think the one thing is he has a quarterback with a pulse. That's the difference. So that makes 2019 an all-timer for me. But in terms of this, I'd say this is probably realistically his third best coaching job.
Third? What do you think is first?
His first?
I think this is
second,
his best.
His second best is the Super Bowl winning season. But even then you could probably not say that.
I would say it's good. This is
maybe you could argue to put this as fourth in terms of his third is the other Super Bowl season in 2010, because they had to go without Ben for 4 games and they needed Charlie Batch out there. But largely this is probably his fourth best in terms of everything.
I think this is
it's
probably
in that top 4.
I think this is his best. Because I'm gonna tell you what overall talent. This is the worst team that the Steelers have had in over 20 years.
Fair.
Since almost 20 years.
No, over 20.
2003.
No,
they went 6-10.
No.
That team really, when you look at it, probably shouldn't have even been something.
No, I'm talking about. I told you I've been watching games longer than you guys. Just pay attention. 98, 99, they were not that good. I know that they were not good teams.
No, yeah, they
were not good teams, and this team might be probably just as bad as these, at least in the talent level.
I would have to say 2003.
No, they had injuries. That team was more injured than.
They had Tommy Maddox as their quarterback.
Let's be real. Okay, Tommy Maddox was basically a solid quarterback for about a season and a half.
Look at their rushing ranks too. They were one of the worst teams in running the ball that season. Also, their 2003 team's actually pretty similar to this one. Actually, when you look at it with
hold up.
Offensively and everything.
Because their 2003 team and their 2004 team were not that much different, except they had Ben.
No, they had their offensive line. They had a lot of, Faneca was playing left tackle there in 2003. Times.
They had injuries. They had injuries, and in 03 they got healthy, and they added Ben and Willie Parker. So there wasn't that much.
And Deuce Staley also, but yeah, as a change of pace.
The running game was better. I'll give you that. But
oh wait, that was 04. I'm sorry.
The defense was still great.
Oh, Troy Polamalu started to come together also.
That was a rookie season.
Okay.
Yeah, he said it this offseason about how he had a really bad, and then things started to change in 2004 because that was the first year LeBeau was there.
03 was his rookie season.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Okay, that was his rookie season. All right.
2004.
But anyway, this team that right now that the Steelers are boasting is not that talented. You can run down at least 5 to 10 teams in the AFC alone. Hell, I think they're the least talented team in that division. All things considered. So if they have the potential to win the division, which I think they can, stay tuned for our next podcast to get my prediction of that next game. We'll just keep that. And by the way, follow me at BWalkerTheDawn if you're listening on Twitter. Thank you. All right, enough of that. I think this is his best coaching job due to the overall lack of talent. And you're getting a new offensive coordinator and a new offensive line coach. You got to factor that in as well.
You put a lot of fair things whenever you put it
did
like
do a great
that.
job really there with clock management yesterday.
Oh yeah, that was kind of shaky. Like,
well, 41 seconds he wasted, I think. Yeah, he said after the game that he was focused on stopping them, so he wasn't really thinking about the drive after. But Boswell missed that 56-yard field goal, so if they had extra time, they could have got a closer kick.
Yeah, he hits that from 54. He puts that just inside the crossbar. I mean, he was really close in that kick. And honestly, the way he was hitting the ball later, I wouldn't say that maybe later in the game, if he would have attempted a 56, he would have made it. But again, you have to look at it like this: how many times has that guy saved the Steelers' bacon when healthy since he's come on the team?
Oh yeah, he's the Boz is God. And Boz was God in my fantasy too, baby. As far as I'm concerned, I think he's arguably, since he's been in the league, he's been a more important kicker to a team than even Justin Tucker. And that might have a little bit of rose-tinted glasses in terms of being a Steelers fan. But when you really look at it, when you really sit down and look at it, you might have to go, hey, this man may be more important to the Steelers being something than even a kicker as great as Justin Tucker. And Justin Tucker is a great kicker. That man hit 2 field goals as a rookie in the Super Bowl that arguably won them that Super Bowl. but Boswell has been way more important. I'd say that you are absolutely right in a sense. That 2017 season, he was crazy. He was wild. He went crazy. But you're talking about him against the Hall of Famer.
If he keeps up with these big moments, you might have to put him alongside it. It's crazy. It's crazy to say, but when you really think of it, even in the situations that next year in which he's messed up, think about it. If he's healthy and he doesn't slip and hit that kick against Oakland, that's his playoff team.
You know what? They have lived in. Didn't I say like?
They have lived and died by that guy in a way.
I said that a couple weeks ago. Remember when I said, "Hey, look, when your biggest identity is your kicker, that means your team there's an issue with your team." He is probably the identity of this team. They literally he's not the face or whatever, but he's your best identity. Close games, slugging it out, needing a kicker with the big kick. I don't disagree with you, even though I'm seems like I'm straddling the fence, but I can't 100% agree with you. I can't do 100%. I'm about, how was that? About 50% I'm about 50% on that.
It's a soft pass. I understand. It's heavy to say, but I'm gonna go back and look at a lot of those situations with him and kind of make a case about that.
He's definitely one of the most clutch kickers in the league, and I agree with Brandon. I think the Steelers, they rely on him a little bit too much. I'd say I know they were playing against a good defense yesterday, and the offense hasn't been performing well, but. I would have liked to see a little bit more urgency. I think they were kind of settling for field goals at times there.
Yep, they were.
Oh, I agree.
Hey.
But I don't know. I didn't understand Tomlin's clock. And then he took an early timeout early in the third quarter for some reason. And they didn't have any timeouts there at the end there. So if the Titans would have scored a touchdown, it pretty much the chances of them getting a late field goal were slim there.
Yeah, they were. What?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack about this for the Steelers defense. I think it's the classic bend but don't break team, but more often than not, the cracks are shown, and a team like Kansas City scares me because remember how we were talking about the Chiefs have been on a long win streak? The last team they lost to were those Tennessee Titans, but it was a different Titans team with Derrick Henry out there. Right. And they got embarrassed, by the way. Since then, they've been great. Their offense, it's not the death machine that it was even in 2017-18 or 2018-19.
2018.
Yeah, 2018. Whatever that year was. It's not the death machine it was from 2018 to last year, but it's still a team that can carve you up with the best of it. So there's going to be a lot to look into with this Chiefs team.
Yeah, it is. They got but they're without Travis Kelce. Well, he has a chance to play. You got Josh Gordon. I don't know how he's going along, but you have him if he's going to get his legs under him. Tyreek Hill. You got Hartman. You got a lot of weapons in Clyde Edwards and the running backs, but their offensive line, especially, didn't you like one of the people they drafted, Chris? You was like,
yeah,
Gaga over him.
He's Pro Football Focus has him as the best rookie in the league.
Yes.
I have to look at it more, but PFF been saying, or everybody really saying that this guy's going to be a Pro Bowl All-Pro center for the next decade.
When you think about the Chiefs' offensive line history, Willie Roaf, Will Shields, I can name the list all down there. That's high praise for him. If they're putting him up, if they're putting him as a great. Okay.
I tweeted the PFF thing last week, I think, and the thing is that he went in the second round, so the Steelers. I like the Freiermuth pick, but what they would have had to basically not get Freiermuth there because he wouldn't have lasted the third round. So they would have had to go center there early. And then someone tweeted saying the only way that they would it will work to get Freiermuth in the second is that they wouldn't have took Najee in the first round and they would have went Humphrey first round, then Freiermuth second round.
Yeah, you can't get them all, but you can get. They have another one, Trey Smith too. The right guard who's looking kind of impressive.
Really, they did a great job after getting embarrassed in that Super Bowl by the Bucs in terms of fixing both edge tackles and also that up the middle for their offensive line. It's really that's what you hope with the Steelers going in the next year with whoever they have in this veteran quarterback, a rookie quarterback, with all that cap space, and they're going to address those needs. So hopefully you'll see that.
You said who are the centers, right? Who are they? If you can look it up, Chris, who are the free agent centers that could be?
Oh, I'll have to look it up. I don't even know free agent centers right now.
Free agent centers and free agent guards. That's what they really need.
Well, I mean, people were talking about moving Kendrick Green to guard and then drafting the center.
They could do
that.
Got
Ryan Jensen is going to be available. I'm looking at Spot Track right now. You have Ryan Jensen at the top of the list from Tampa, but I think they'll probably get him back.
Oh, yeah, they're going to try to get them back. They're trying to hold it together for Brady. They're going to try to get as many cracks at it as they can while he's on the roster. What?
Nick Martin from Las Vegas is one they could see. They also got Austin Corbett from the Rams. Yeah, they got a few guys in there. I mean, it's going to be a lot of things they have to fix on that offensive line. Let's look at the tackle position real quick as we're going off into offensive linemen next year. We'll have much more to talk about this in the future. Let's update this on Spot Track real quick. Stand by. Nate Soldier, but he's 33.
Washed up.
Cam Robinson, left tackle, 26 from Jacksonville.
They got to figure. I think they'll try to. They got the cap room. They got to protect Trevor Lawrence at all costs. They got to save that kid. So I don't think he's going anywhere.
Well, I put it up as a possibility because of the entire Urban Meyer situation, where people might just want to get out of Jacksonville. And if you remember, there was a free agency stuff. Yeah, but look, the owner's still there, and who's not to say they hire another dumb guy up there? And remember, the NFLPA a few seasons ago were actively, granted it was with a different regime out there, were actively saying, hey, don't go to Jacksonville.
I know. You know, they need to move that team. I'm sorry.
Don't move it to London either.
Huh?
Stop telling me to move that thing to London. Put it in San Antonio and call it a day.
No, St. Louis.
Or move it to St. Louis.
Yeah, St. Louis.
St. Louis has a Super Bowl and no team. Move it to St. Louis and call it the St. Louis Stallions and call it a day.
Oh, like Walton Payton back in the day, who had the ownership group, and they lost it to Jacksonville. So, if you want to right the wrongs that you had, you can't move him back to San Diego. St. Louis needs a team.
San Diego didn't win a Super Bowl. As far as I'm concerned, there's a city out there that has a Super Bowl in its cabinet but no team. It's automatically going to be St. Louis.
Yes.
Even though I think Kansas City probably took over the area and they may not want to have something on there. That's the only way I can see it not going.
It's gonna go.
And they don't want 3 teams in SoCal. That's too much.
Or in Texas. They don't want 3 teams in Texas. You think Jerry Jones I don't want that team in San Antonio. Come on. Nope. We can't have an Austin. Nope, we can't do it. We about them Cowboys here. And a little bit about them Texas. We gonna have that come to Cowboys. All about them Cowboys here in Texas. But please, anyway, move the team. If you're going to move them, which they should, to St. Louis, Shad Khan, and Tony, concentrate on all your little soccer teams and make it.
No, they want to get rid of them out there too. Concentrate on wrestling, buddy.
Yes, AEW. Yes, we need better wrestling because WWE. We're not even watching Raw tonight because number 1, we're doing this podcast, and 2, WWE is disgusting. It sucks. It has no direction. The Royal Rumble's coming up, and nobody cares about WWE. And we are talking about this on a football podcast, so let me stop going on this tangent. But anyway, sell the team to somebody in St. Louis. They shouldn't have lost their team. They got screwed around. Do the right thing, NFL. And I'm done with the tangent.
Well, yeah, as far as the tackles for the Steelers, I think they like what they have in Chooks. He's actually been playing a lot better lately. And Dan Moore's, he's still a rookie. They just got to figure out that interior, man. They've been getting manhandled lately. I mean, they need overall they need to be better, but I think they like what they have at least.
I'm sorry, buddy. If you're going on about kicking the tires on Ben Roethlisberger, you have to look at the tackle situation for the Steelers. And as much as, by the way, congratulations to Zach Banner on the engagement, but they got to do something with him.
They're not going to a free agent tackle that starts.
They might go splurge. They got to splurge for some sort of offensive lineman out there that could do something. And it's most likely going to be a guard or a center.
All right, who are the fake?
It's going
to them yet.
It's going to be more likely guard and guards.
Right. Who's the free agent guards?
Well, in terms of the guards, let's take a look at that real quick. All right, so guards. Brandon Sheriff from the Washington football team.
Okay, hold up.
Andrew Norwell from Jacksonville.
Okay.
Former Chief Laurent Duvernay-Tardif. Alex Lewis right beside of him. Let's see who would probably be something. No to Richie Incognito. He's too old. How do you feel about early 30s guards?
Early 30s guards? No, I would say
Trey Turner's like close to 30. I think
30.
He's not been good at all, really.
I think
they would do something crazy like kick the tires on Kyle Long.
They might.
They're going to rebuild it through the draft, like what they typically do.
Yeah, they like to rebuild in the draft when it comes to up the middle and the right tackle. Left tackle, I think they're going to have to strongly consider drafting their highest drafted left tackle since like probably the 50s, if I remember. I said it
probably
on
the
a
50s.
podcast.
They usually do not go high on left tackles. They let them develop, and I think they could do that here. Right? They need to get a center. Who? I'm thinking, Chris. Who was their center when they won their first? Not their first super in 05. Who was their center? Because they
Jeff
got
Harding.
it from. They got it from Detroit or Minnesota.
Detroit.
One of the. Okay, Jeff Harding. Yes. That is the type of guy that you need on the center of the offensive line.
Yeah, I don't know as far as free agent. Steelers, they usually always hit on their centers. Like they always have great centers. And Kendrick Green, he's still a rookie, but it doesn't look very promising right now.
I know there's a good center out there that's going to go in the first round.
The guy from Iowa, the kid from Iowa. People have been talking about.
I think it's like it's somebody from a Big Ten school. Trust me, I'll get my draft knowledge because I was looking at a mock draft. They had because I watched Chat Sports. I have to look at it again, but it was it might be his name. If you get
Tyler Linderbaum.
Yes, where is he from?
Iowa.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. I don't know what team draft. He was like in the 15s. I was like, whoa. They're talking about him being the best center prospect since Marquise Pouncey.
Oh, wow.
I wouldn't be upset with they went center first round.
They've done it, and plus, that man, they got to get another guy and another guard. You could draft. Oh, you can go. I think guard. You can replace Dotson.
Well, he's still going to be his third year, so he's injured right now. So
he's injured, but people get drafted over all the time.
They're going to look for. I mean, they could play either.
They'll
side.
probably shift over Green back to guard and realize that they actually need to draft players that have actually played the position
I didn't mean
a good amount of times in college.
That's Green. I meant Dotson. That's what I meant. I think you should. People get drafted over all the time.
Well, yeah, they do. But I'm just saying that Trey Turner's right guard. So, depending on if they move Kendrick Green there, so I don't know. They'll have to do something there to figure it out.
Yeah, I think you could. I think draft. Yeah, you could get. Yeah, I think that guy would be perfect. The Iowa kid, the Iowa center would be perfect. They'll be perfect for this lineup. They'll be
guys. we'll focus more on the offseason in terms of offensive line talk, free agency, and other things of various natures then. But we're still in the season, and next up is the Kansas City Chiefs on the docket. That'll be a 4:25 game, and there's been some good memories in Kansas City for the Steelers, and we'll talk more about that then. We'll also have someone who covers the Kansas City Chiefs extensively on our podcast later this week before Christmas. But guys, hope you have a fantastic holiday until then. Finish up your last-minute shopping. I know I am. And for Chris Ward and Brandon Walker, I'm Ty Polk. You've been listening to the Renegade Blitz.
Thank you for listening to the Renegade Blitz podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Renegade Blitz, at @RBlitzPod, and @BlitzVideos. Read articles on RenegadeBlitz.com. Like us on Facebook and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app. The Renegade Blitz podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and wherever else you can listen to podcasts.